Welcome to the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcast, please follow, hit the like button, or any subscribes. It really helps us with the algorithms. Santa Cruz Coffee Break is produced by the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. All opinions are those of the speakers. We invite you to join us on the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGC for more fun. Now, let's get on with this installment of Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Well, we would like to welcome you to the 49th Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum podcast, Big 49. Tad, I can't believe we got here.
No.
Just a couple years ago, we were like at 6 or something like that. So they just seem to keep coming. And today we're really blessed with an interesting experience of talking to a new Santa Cruz dealer. We're going to be talking to Larry Sogolow of Organic Roots Music in Santa Ana. Larry, we'd like to welcome you.
Thanks, Richard. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh,
Small Organic Sounds Select Guitars.
Say that again.
Organic Sounds Select Guitars.
Got it. Sorry about the mispronunciation. I won't do it again.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
So how hot is it in Santa Ana right now?
Right now, it's probably approaching 90 degrees. I think we're going to be closer to 100 within a couple of hours. So this is our first real heat wave of the summer. So we've skated through so far, but finally caught up to us.
This one's a ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're at 53 degrees right now and ground fog. I don't think I've seen the sun in a week. But, I'd much rather have this than I would have the heat.
We were in Santa Cruz earlier in the week, and it was just lovely. 65 degrees or so, just beautiful.
It's going to heat up a little bit more up there this weekend, but we might miss it all. The ocean might just keep us really cool. So, Tad.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. I am actually up at Dillon Beach at the moment, simply because we were escaping the heat wave ourselves, plus anniversary and other things like that. But if my appearance or voice is not as good as normal, it's because I'm doing this on my iPad from a remote location. Luckily, we have the internet.
Isn't it amazing that we can do this? It just it always just completely blows my mind. 3 people get together from a triangle that's
hundreds of miles.
Yeah, pretty weird looking, but good. So, Larry, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about I think you're incredibly brave for opening a store at this time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. When we started the idea of opening it, the prospects in terms of the strength of the economy and the market for people buying stuff was a little bit stronger. It just takes months and months to get things running and get permits and get construction done. But no, we're very excited. Brand new store. It's a new direction in our lives. And so far, really exciting, meeting some great people and getting to play some really cool instruments and showing them to customers. It's a new venture for us. I was a physical therapist for 30 years prior to this, and I had an injury a few years ago that ended that career. So I decided to go in a completely different and new direction. An opportunity presented itself to do something entirely different and hopefully fun and rewarding. And I've always loved guitars, especially acoustic guitars. I just love everything about them, the craftsmanship and the artistry and the way they play, the way they sound, and getting to work with companies like Santa Cruz and a few others. We just, as of this morning, are a dealer for Loudon guitars as well. Husson Dalton, a few of the others, National Resophonic, Larrivee. It's just a lot of fun.
Go, Ted.
I was gonna say that's amazing. That's a lot of inventory. So what, you're kind of living the dream here for a lot of us who love guitars and love playing music and have found that buying them and playing them is absolutely no way to try and make a living. So of course, in the back of our heads, we all think, oh, we'll sell guitars. We'll get rich that way. And as they say, the best way to make $1 million selling guitars is to start with 5 million. So what led you to this, and how did you get started on it?
Well, really what led me to it was this. I had owned one very special guitar for a number of years. It was actually a Santa Cruz guitar. It was my entry into the world of really well-made, wonderful instruments. I bought it on my 50th birthday, actually, back in 2015, and absolutely loved it. And I'd gone through a few other guitars since then. And then I had this change of career that was forced upon me by injury. And I thought to myself that I wanted another Santa Cruz guitar. I thought I'll sell everything else I have. I just want to get a second Santa Cruz guitar. And I started looking around. We're in the middle of Orange County here. I started looking around here in Southern California, and I couldn't find any. There was nobody here selling Santa Cruz guitars. Even up in Los Angeles, I couldn't find any. So I started to think to myself, I'm in a crossroads in my life and my careers. Maybe there's a niche for me here. Maybe we could use, and there are some good shops here in Orange County. I don't want to say anything bad about them. There's some great shops here, but nobody was selling Santa Cruz or some of these other small boutique makers that I love. Just can't find them here. And we've got a huge population here. We've got plenty of guitar players and musicians and people who love this stuff. And my approach was maybe I can fill a niche. So we started to look into it. Started to actually look for space to lease. And this was right around January of 2020. And of course, in February of 2020, COVID hit. So that put everything on hold for a while. And what we decided to do was, okay, let's just start an online business and see how that goes. So we started late that fall, October of 2020. We got our website up online. I went online, I bought a whole bunch of used instruments from my favorite makers, and I got them in and I cleaned them up and I put new strings on them, and I made videos on YouTube, and put them out there and started to participate in the forums and tried to get some attention to us. And once I got the videos out, then I started making calls to a lot of the manufacturers, just to say, hey, this is what we're doing. I plan to open a brick and mortar shop, but because of COVID, we're not doing it yet. But I'd like to at least start a relationship and see if any of them were interested. And everybody in the industry was just so nice to us. The typical answer I got was, when you get closer to opening, give us a call, because we don't sign new dealers who don't have a brick and mortar shop. But a couple of the manufacturers actually said, normally that's our policy, but we understand things are different right now. They liked the video. We developed a relationship. And so I actually became a new dealer for, Hudson Dalton and National first. And then as we got closer to actually opening a shop, then a lot of the other ones came online, So Carolyn Sills was just so great, wonderful person, and saved some build slots for us, which was so appreciated. Larrabee was great. A few of them, interestingly enough, said that we're just, we're 2, 3, 4 years out on new orders, so we're not signing new dealers right now. But they were nice enough to tell me that and say, keep in touch. We'll see what happens in the future. So, after a lot of delays with construction and permits and finding people to do the build out and so on and so forth, we're finally here. We've got a growing inventory. I just got my first brand new Santa Cruz guitar in last week, and I've got several more coming in the next couple more in the next month, and then several more in the next few months. The other manufacturers are coming through, and by the end of the year, we're going to have we've got a good selection now, but it's going to be even bigger.
Well, assuming you don't sell them.
I hope I sell some of them.
You do have a very interesting niche down there since Buffalo Brothers went away.
Yeah.
They were I'm down in Southern California all the time, and the McCabe's, it's a wonderful shop, but it just didn't work. And Buffalo Brothers was a really kind of wild, off the cuff kind of place, and you weren't really sure what you'd find, but they always had really great stock.
Yeah.
And they kept their accessories up, and they kept the trinkets up. I think I never walked out of there without buying. He had a great selection of slides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tremendous selection of slides, you know, and it was like, okay, I'll try it. You know, I mean, I have my one and only, but it,
Yeah.
a pretty face could always come along, you know. So, you really do have where in Santa Ana are you?
So we're on the very east end of Santa Ana, right on its border with the town of Tustin.
Hmm.
So you know, for those not familiar with Orange County, we're smack dab in the middle of Orange County. We're right off of two major freeways here, off of the 5 freeway and the 55 freeway. Um, Easy access, kind of a cool little center that we're in here. And you know, the old town Tustin's a really cool old town with some great restaurants and so on. It's just about a mile from here, so it's a good spot we found. And
So, oh, I was going to say, I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about the build out and the process of opening a guitar shop. I mean,
Yes.
for those of us who have, Santa Cruz guitars and such, there's always this concern about humidification and storage and everything else.
yeah,
Well, that's a real problem when you have like two or three. You're talking, I mean, looking at the wall behind you, 25, 30, 40. What kind of considerations did that bring up in the process of choosing a location and building it out?
you know, the climate here in Orange County is fairly consistent. Typically, in terms of humidity, we're close enough to the ocean, but not right on the ocean, that humidity tends to average right in the middle of the range. You know, we're 50% plus or minus most of the year. Periodically, we get these winds that come in from the east, from the desert, called the Santa Ana winds, and the humidity outside will drop into the single digits even. So I'm all set up to deal with that. I've got humidifiers in here. The highest I've seen so far is in the upper 50% in the store, but we haven't had a wind event, but we'll keep it in the mid-range. I know the importance of that. And, you know, the climate, you know, in terms of temperature, we control well as well. But in terms of the build out, it's interesting. It's not a huge space. I've got about 1,200 square feet here. And I was told I have a mentor in the business, a real nice fellow who has a guitar shop back in Pittsburgh, who I called out of the blue one day when I was thinking about doing this, and said, you know, I introduced myself. I said, I'm looking for somebody who can guide me through. I'm looking for a mentor. And he said, I love being a mentor. And so he's been great about answering questions for me. And he said, one thing that you shouldn't do is skimp on warehouse space. So he said, you're going to need more than you think. So about a third of our space is dedicated to shelving and warehouse. You know, I've got all sorts of, you know, all the guitars come in cases, and cases are big, right? So you need a place to put them all, and a place to do your packing for shipping and so on and so forth. So really, I've got about 800 or between 800 and 900 square feet of showroom space here. And our goal was just to make it real comfortable. You know, I wanted it to be a place where there's comfortable places to sit and play, where the environment is welcoming. I think we've all been in shops before that were not comfortable. You know, to me, there's always two extremes with guitar shops. There's either you walk in and you get no attention whatsoever, you're looking for somebody to talk to, you're looking for somebody who might want to help you with a guitar that's, you know, 12 feet off the floor and you can't get to and you can't find anybody. Or the opposite extreme, where you walk in and someone looks at you and says, you want to try that guitar? Well, okay. And they put it in your lap and they stare at you from 2 feet away and let you play for 1 minute and then take it from you and wipe it down and put it away. And you want to play a different guitar now? You know, and that's not comfortable either. So, you know, we're looking for this comfortable environment where people feel that they can come in and hang out and talk music and talk instruments and play some great instruments. And if they don't buy something, I'm fine with that too, because next time they might buy something. You know, and like Richard said, you know, but actually both, you know, if there's something else to buy, a lot of people come in and play stuff and they want to buy a t-shirt or a strap or a capo or something like that. So, you know, have something around for them to look at, and, you know, maybe something they haven't seen before. So, I'm sorry, the dog. A squirrel just walked by the window, so the dog that was going a little nuts. The joys of having a shop dog.
Oh, believe
but
me, we know about squirrels.
yeah, right. But you know, that was our goal for the build out, is try to make it an attractive looking kind of cool place.
Mhm.
I can give you a tour. I got my phone here, you know, if you want to see a little bit more of it.
Yeah, we can try.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, like some of this quiet space. Did you put any kind of studio in, or did you just give yourself a background like that kind of thing? Take us around.
Yeah, okay, I'll
Show
take
us
you
around. Yeah.
You got it. So, so the first thing, just to tell you, I have an incredibly supportive, wonderful wife, and you can imagine. I'm in my upper 50s, right? To say, "Hi, honey, I'd like to open a guitar shop," and she, her answer was, "Let's do it." But she said, I'm staring at her right now. I'll introduce you in a minute. She said, "Yeah, let's do it, but let's build a stage so we can host some events." So I'll show you the stage first of all.
I had to assume, I have to say, that you either had the most supportive wife in the world or you were divorced. I didn't want to bring it up.
The former. Here she is. Hi, this is Debbie. So this is our seating area. There's the dog winking out the window for the squirrel. This is the main showroom. We've got the less expensive instruments, some Alvarez guitars, some consignment guitars, Taylor, Martin, Gibson, some Larrivee instruments. Here's our stage with some national guitars. Back here in this, I call it the blue room because for obvious reasons, but we're keeping the more expensive instruments. I've got a showcase there with some great Santa Cruz instruments and Preston Thompson and some Hudson Daltons, some other stuff on the wall here. And then my showroom, my warehouse space is back here. And here's my little space where I can take photographs for the website. And that's the extent of it. That's the whole place.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. I love the stage.
Thanks. So what we're hoping to do is, host some, I'll put the phone back down so I can sit here. Product demos. We were in Santa Cruz this past Monday, and we had a great meeting with Richard and Will, and those guys couldn't have been nicer to us. And Richard actually offered to come down and give a talk, question and answer period. So we're in the process of scheduling a grand opening and for early November, and he'll come down and maybe bring one of the Santa Cruz artists to play a little bit for us. So that'll be our really cool use of the stage. But we hope to have, maybe some open mic nights and small performances, that kind of thing on the stage. And, it's a great place to sit and try out guitars too.
It sounds like you're taking consignments.
We are taking consignments. Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Good to know.
Yeah.
Because I know that with the demise of Reverb and eBay, I think people are really looking more into the consignment world when they have sales.
I've avoided going that route. I know a lot of the shops are using Reverb, and I've just been trying to avoid that. I'd rather just do our own thing here. eBay I never even looked at, so I'm not sure what policies are. But
I was more on the line of their rates have gone up substantially, and now everything's taxed. And if you sell over $600, that's reported.
That's reported.
So a lot of people that were flipping and doing all that stuff have all of a sudden, if they haven't realized it yet, are going to get a really rude January.
Hey.
A really rude January.
Well, the only thing I don't see is a maintenance or repair setup. Are you going to be handling any of that in-house, or have you reached out to luthiers and technicians in the areas and made arrangements to work with them?
Yeah, excellent question. And we were struggling with that for a while. But I have an excellent luthier now who's in the area. We have an arrangement where if people bring in things for repairs, and this guy will do everything. He'll do neck resets, he'll do crack repairs, and all the way up and down from basic setups and pickup installs and so on. So he'll pick them up at the store, bring them to his shop, and then bring them back. So I've got some room in the back. I don't know if you noticed there was a workbench back there, but we don't have anybody working in the store to do that now. But I have this fellow, and I'm really excited about him. He's terrific. So that is an option.
Excellent.
That's great. What about accessories? What are you going to carry?
So I I have a line of straps by Couch. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're here in Long Beach, and they make all vegan, cruelty-free guitar straps, and they're really cool. A lot of them look like leather, but they're actually repurposed old car upholstery and that kind of thing. And I love them. I've got D'Addario products, so strings, capos, everything else. And oh, I started carrying Charmed Life guitar picks. I don't know if you're familiar with Scott, but he makes a great guitar pick, number of them, and it's kind of a new. Well, actually, he's been doing it for several years, but a second business for him. He's a college professor. He loves guitar picks. So a number of years ago, he bought himself some material, started cutting his own, and was doing, playing with them, beveling them, and polishing them. They became so popular with his friends, they decided to start a business selling them also. So they're right up there with Blue Chip or any other premium pick that you can find. So I carry those, and I'm looking for other stuff to carry. We had a fellow walk in the other day, and he looked around and he said, "Only guitars?" And I said, "Yeah, only guitars." He said, "No, I was looking for a harmonica." So it made me think, okay, maybe we'll start carrying harmonicas. And we're reaching out to mandolin makers and ukuleles and so on. So we'll start to do that. Oh, one thing I left out was the zither guitar stand. So we have some real nice wooden guitar stands. But what would you guys, I'm going to turn it around on you guys a little bit. If you had a neighborhood shop, what would you want to see there?
Well, I mean, the one thing that I always buy every time I go into a guitar shop, whether I need it or not, is a set of strings.
Yeah.
Simply because it's inexpensive, but I'm going to use it, and if I'm not going to use it, I'll give it to a friend, and it just does something to help support the shop.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm hoping you'll have a good selection of Santa Cruz strings.
I do. I've got all. The only ones I don't have so far, 12 strings came out. But I've got the low tension, the mid tension, and the Dadgad sets. And I use them. And the D'Addario strings is what I have so far.
How about amplification, pickups and that kind of stuff? I mean, that's a part of the acoustic world now.
It is, and I don't so far carry them. I've been talking to Schertler amps, and I might start to carry Schertler amplification. I'm talking to QSC because their speakers are so great. And pickups, I haven't started doing that. I put my own K&K mini pickups in all of my guitars, but I haven't offered that in the shop yet. And what pickups would you like to see in the shop? Again, I'm turning around on you guys.
You always want to see some kind of a sound hole pickup, whether it's whether it's the $50 performer or it's the $200 lithium or whatever. Weight is an enormous factor.
Yeah.
Weight is an enormous factor in those things because some of them are just so heavy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That everybody's kind of got their own thing, and then if you really want to do it right, you put a microphone in front of it. But
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if I need a pickup in my guitar, I call James May and put in an ultratonic.
Yeah.
There's nothing else out there as far as I'm concerned. And
Yeah.
his Tone Dexter is just an amazing piece of equipment.
There's a great podcast on our series with James, and he really explains it really well how he does it, and it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it is surely brilliant.
I'm taking notes. I'll give him a call. As you can tell, I'm new at all this, and I'm learning as we're going. After a whole career in healthcare, the whole retail business is brand new and it's fun, and I'm learning something new every day. So, that's what I'm looking for is people to tell me what they'd like to see. I love the selection of slides. I'm carrying resonator guitars. I have a bunch of Nationals, and I'm going to start carrying Beard guitars. I'll get my first ones in a few months, and having a big collection of slides is a great idea.
Yeah, there's nobody down south that does the silica slides.
Silica. I'm taking notes. Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of hippie stuff. They come out of Petaluma, but they're silica inside, and if you're hands do any kind of sweating, it just grips the slide
Yeah.
more, so it really doesn't move around, but all over from really lightweight glass ones to 11
Yeah.
11/16 car sockets,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
cases,
Cases.
So,
bags, nice gig bags.
well, I'm a dealer for Carlton cases. I have a big order with them that should be arriving soon. I have 12 of those coming in, and then everything else comes with the case. So I haven't started to carry any cases other than what comes from the manufacturers. But I've looked at some of them are so cool, the mono cases and some of the other ones. That having something like that in the store is actually a good idea too.
I find as I reach geezerhood, I like a gig bag a lot more than I do a 14-pound case.
I do too. Well, if you're, it's so much easier to carry in and out, put on your shoulders, and
Well, if you're taking notes there, write down Visas nut cases and Shub capos.
Yeah, Shub.
Shub makes a great capo, and they're a nice Northern California company. And I've just become a real fan of the Visas nut case. It's
yeah,
cheap. VISESNUT.
Oh, okay, all right, got it.
It's they're incredibly lightweight. They got a rubber seal around the outside, so you can practically throw them in a river. And they'll support like 600 or 700 pounds.
Oh,
that's how they told me on it, was to put a $20,000+ guitar in one and then jump up and down on it. And it weighs like 2 or 3 pounds. I mean, there you can go on and on and on with accessories that you can add to the shop. But really, ultimately, it's going to be what you like and what you enjoy, because the shop is going to be an extension of you. I mean, that's what makes a great guitar shop, as far as I'm concerned, is the person behind the counter, their attitude, their approach, their feeling towards what they're doing. For up here, one of the great shops for me locally is Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette. DP Coyle, he is the shop. He's a wonderful person, and I think that's the same kind of approach that you should have down there, and hopefully we'll get a chance to go down there sometime soon and check it out.
I would love to have you guys come visit. Yeah, that's the idea. I don't want to have a shop where I've got employees running it and I'm never here. I want to be the face of the shop. I want to help people find their instrument. I told you about that Santa Cruz guitar I bought.
Yeah, what did you get? You didn't tell us what your guitar was.
It was an OM Grand. So the story was this: we between Debbie and I, we had lost all 4 of our parents in a really short period. It was a strange time for us. We had a bunch of deaths, and I turned 50, and I just thought, it would be a good thing for my psyche to go buy my first really good guitar, because I've been through some kind of mediocre guitars. I started playing in college, and I bought myself an Ovation because I thought they were the coolest things in the world back then, and that was my only acoustic guitar for 20 years. I played it everywhere. But then I had a J45, and I had a couple. I had a Triple O Martin, and I went through a few guitars, and I just couldn't find anything that really spoke to me. And anyways, so on my 50th birthday, I took the day off work. I drove up to LA. I went to all the really good shops up there, all the big ones. If you're familiar with all of them, you mentioned McCabe's, them, and a few others. And I played guitars all day long, and I just took notes on my favorite from each shop, and the only guitar that stood out as one that I thought this guitar is going to be my guitar was a Santa Cruz guitar. It's an OM Grand, and it fit me. The size was perfect. The tone it just had the sweetest, warmest treble notes and this nice, rich bass and balance and playability, and I loved everything about it. So that was my entry into the world of really good guitars. And so I really, I'm glad to talk to you guys, because I have Santa Cruz thank for our direction right now. Yeah.
Well, an OM Grand is a fantastic guitar to get started with. So you said you wanted to get a second one. What would you follow that up with?
Well, I have since.
Okay.
So here's the thing: when you're a dealer, and there's the temptation when you're a player and have stuff coming in, you want to keep all the good stuff, right? Which doesn't make a whole lot of business sense. But when I was doing in the initial stages, when I was buying used instruments and selling them, and I wasn't making money on them, I was hoping to break even or maybe make $100 or lose less than $100. So I've ended up with 2 more Santa Cruz guitars since then. One's a 00 1929, and it was built in the first year of the 1929 series in 2009, and it's just such a, the best word I can come up with for that guitar is sweet. It's just got the sweetest tone to it. I love that instrument. And another one's an OMPW, but it has mahogany back. So it's Sitka mahogany. OMPW was built in 2007. And I love it also. I keep it mostly in dadgad. It sounds great in drop tunings. And so those are my 3 those are my 3 Santa Cruz guitars right now in my personal collection.
That sounds like a wonderful collection. That's really nice. Santa Cruz guitars, when they're brand new, sound wonderful, but I don't care what anybody says, they get better. The longer you play them, the longer you have them, they just keep getting better.
Yeah. And you've got a few, I understand.
Yeah, I have a few. Yeah, that's well, it's good to know you're doing consignment. I don't know if I'll mention that, but so well, I was going to say, one of the questions that comes up on the forum is shop policies. Have you thought about that? And would you care to tell us what your thought process was and how you're going to handle that? Because to be honest, that would be the one greatest fear I would have opening a guitar shop.
You mean in terms of allowing people to play stuff in the shop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a big sign that I made on the wall and back in the blue room there that says, "Please treat these instruments with respect. They're valuable. Please, no heavy strumming or other abuse." But my policy is, and this is just because of my own experience in shops, I want people to feel comfortable playing instruments. I want them to say, I found you as a listed dealer for Santa Cruz, for example, or Husson Dalton or Larrivee, whatever. And I see that you've got a selection there. I want to come in and play some. And I don't want to tell people not to. So, my policy is, if you're not treating the instrument with respect, I'm going to ask you to either play, do better or leave. But I haven't been faced with that so far. I think people understand that. I don't want, I'll be watchful to make sure that there's no big scratches and that kind of thing done best I can. The real expensive stuff, I have a locked case back there. People are welcome to play stuff there, but I just want to talk to them first. And so if they, if I think that they're and everybody's been reasonable so far, but I'll let people play whatever they want. I just want them to be respectful. And guitars are made to be played, and to me, especially acoustic guitars, it's such an intimate relationship you develop with that instrument. It's different than an electric instrument. You meld with that instrument. It has to feel right to you. So I want people to come and try stuff. Otherwise, that's the best way, I think, to find your instrument. And then, I sell online also. If people want to order stuff, I give them a 3-day return period because, they're expensive, and if they get it and it's just not really what they expected, as long as it comes back in the same condition and everything else, then I'll accept it back. So that's been my approach. If I run into trouble, we may have to revisit that approach, but I hope I won't.
Well, we hope you won't either. It's like I said at the beginning, what you're doing is kind of like the dream for so many of us, especially the dream of my wife. But you can deal with that when I'm not around.
You know, I mean, if I can keep it, my goal is to keep it going for a while. I want to, God, if I can get a good 10 years, sell enough stuff to keep the doors open and make people happy and just keep things going. That's our goal here. Of course, we got to sell stuff to keep it going. So, hopefully people will find something they like here.
That's a pretty valid, pretty great philosophy there. I know I know I'll walk through your door. I have a partner off of 55 in Newport. So
that's a mile from here. That's so close.
Yeah, I know right where it is.
Newport Avenue. So either way, you're close.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like from the brands that you're carrying, you're probably going to get a lot of people very interested, because those can be some hard brands to find and to try out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Santa Cruz, especially down there, it's tough. Since Buffalo Brothers went away, it's tough to find a Santa Cruz down there.
Yeah,
not that I've found anyway.
No, I agree, and that's why Santa and not being able to find one here was the thing that put the thought in my brain about doing this. And yeah, I mean, there are a few shops around the country. There's one I used to live in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and that's another attachment I have to the company. I used to have a house in the town of Felton, which is one of those little redwood towns just north of Santa Cruz, and Sylvan Guitars is a wonderful shop, and walking around there and seeing the stuff they have, all those Santa Cruz guitars, the Loudons and Goodalls and now Froggies and all these instruments they have. It just that was my thought. I want to have some instruments, some really cool stuff for people to come see.
It sounds like you've accomplished it. Let me ask you this last question here. You say you've ordered 5 Santa Cruzes you're expecting. Can you tell us what you ordered and maybe even why?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what we had in the original order, and then we just had an opportunity to add 3 more to that order. So here's what I have coming. I've got hold on, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking on the cell phone. The cell phone's trying to ring, so as long as you can. So coming up soon, I've got a 1934 OM mahogany, old growth mahogany. An H13. I've got a 00 1929. I've got a Tony Rice and an RS. And then I just had an opportunity to add some stuff. I have a couple of triple O's coming in. One is a 1929 triple O all Koa. With bindings and Brazilian veneer on the headstock. That one's going to be spectacular. And another triple O that is Addy and Koa. That's a short scale with a deep body. So I'm excited about those. And then also a vintage jumbo is coming in. So we're going to have a really good selection of really cool guitars. The one we got in last week was an OMPW with the European spruce and walnut, gorgeous walnut for the back.
Oh, that's a new combination. That's great.
It is.
Yeah, I will challenge you. There's an OMPW out there that has style 42 inlays on the neck. If you ever see it, I want it back.
I'm going to take a note here. I'll look for the OMPW style 42.
Yeah, it's an early one. One of the first. It's the rosewood, but I had style 42s on it, and I want it back. Give it back.
I'll keep my eyes open for you.
So I was going to ask, Larry, what do you think of the walnut? That's something we haven't really talked to people about much. What do you think of the new walnut back inside guitars?
I like it. It's got a cool, to me, it's probably a little more on the mahogany end of the spectrum, but it has a little bit of extra overtones and complexity that you might find in a rosewood. So it's between best of both worlds type of instrument. It's cool, and it's gorgeous to look at. It's just spectacular.
Yeah, really.
Figure on that walnut. So it's a cool instrument. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad they're using the walnut. I have a Model F 12 string with walnut back and sides, and it's a wonderful guitar. Love the tone.
Yeah, yeah. I like it. I don't think I have any others on order with Santa Cruz with walnut, but there will be more in the future. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
You got to open a store.
Yeah.
Invite me on. I'm so appreciative.
So, just once again, just so I get it right, it's Organic Sounds
Organic Sounds Select Guitars.
in Santa Ana, California.
Yes, sir.
And 11 to 5 or 11 to 6 or 11 to close or
Yeah, we're doing 11 to 5, but I'm available for appointments if those hours don't work.
and not a margarita bar or not a margarita bar or a taco bar in the area.
There's a noodle place right next door and a Subway lunch place and lots of really cool restaurants a mile away in Old Town Tustin. So
there you are.
yeah.
Well, we will make sure to have full contact information and website, address, and everything else in the podcast. People who are listening are going to have to log on to the forum if they want to be able to write it down.
And I really appreciate you joining and participating in the forum. We have really wanted to get a lot more dealers involved because there's a lot of questions that come up that are really not for us.
Yeah.
You know, they're a sales question, and it's always something to know.
Yeah.
So you have been incredibly gracious with your time,
and we will look forward to seeing you and meeting you in person and seeing the shop.
Yeah, come visit.
Yeah. Good luck with the good luck with your grand opening. That'll be fantastic. If you've never heard Richard talk, it's a really great experience.
We just spent 4 hours with him on Mondays. What a neat guy.
Yeah.
And the knowledge base is phenomenal, and it's into detail. Every step of the process of building those instruments is wonderful.
It comes from science.
Yeah.
It comes from science and passion. And I was lucky enough to be up there on Saturday for a couple hours and got to drive the Apache, which was a real terror experience actually, when I realized that I don't know if I could turn this thing in time.
Have fun. Yeah, we do that maybe next time.
Yeah. So have a great day.
Thanks.
And we look forward to it. We look forward to the future.
Super nice to meet you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, be well.
Yeah. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed this installment of the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. For more music-related fun, please join the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGCPF or santacruzguitarplayers.com. If you have any questions or possible podcast topics, please contact us. If you have a product or service that you feel would be of value to our listeners, please consider adding your support and keeping the coffee pot on. Contact us for more information. We ask that you hit the like, follow, bell, or bookmark buttons so we can keep you informed of upcoming podcast episodes. We hope you enjoyed Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Now it's time to go play your guitar.